So this is the Berlin Wall on this side, and on the other side, the Spree River. And as you can see, the Berlin Wall sits on some of the most prime real estate in the German capital. This park is protected, it's not likely to ever be developed, but the land beyond the park has been sold to investors, and the protesters fear that when the investors develop the land, they'll end up destroying a part of 20th century and world history.
The Berlin Wall was once one of the starkest reminders of the Cold War. It was put up by communist East Germany in 1961 to stop its citizens from fleeing to West Berlin. But today, the wall that once snaked around the whole German capital is almost entirely gone, except for here, at the East Side Gallery. Today, the 1-mile-long stretch of the wall contains murals by artists from around the world. But on Friday, construction workers began removing a 22-meter chunk of the wall, the first step in a project that aims to build a luxury apartment tower on the site. And that's caused a stir. About 200 people turned out to protest, and 3 were arrested. Kani Alvi is an artist whose mural appears on the wall. He says the wall is too historically significant to tamper with.
So eine Länge hat man in Berlin nicht, ja? Einfach abschafft.
This is the longest remaining stretch of the wall. If we take it apart, we won't have proof to show future generations how extensive the wall was and how it divided the people. This is a message that we must continue teaching. Without the wall, future generations won't believe how it really was.
The mayor of Berlin declined to comment for this story, but Volker Toms, a spokesman for the builder, Living Bauhaus, told VOA that his company intends to reconstruct the pieces of the wall elsewhere on its property. Toms also noted something that even local papers and some Berliners have pointed out, that this valuable land had been sitting disused for years. The wall is technically a protected historical site, but last week the city gave the go-ahead to remove part of it. Tourists were surprised at this news, including some students from the New York area.
We actually just heard of these plans today, and I was a little surprised to hear that, actually.
And what about you?
Yeah, I was really shocked. We found out this morning when we were planning to come here, and we just think it's kind of terrible because this is such a monumental wall and piece of history, and just for them to move it and tear it down to build something so modern is just horrible.
Berliners shared their reaction.
I think it's dreadful, like especially at a place like this, which is so historic and like so important for the city, and then they're just changing it, and they're changing the whole character of the city.
I mean, how do you think they should use this space? Like to keep it as a park?
Yeah, I think they should keep it as a park, just as a place for the people, not for the rich and for the few people who can afford to be here.
The protesters vowed to continue their fight next week in court, but whether they're ultimately successful in protecting and keeping intact a piece of Cold War history remains to be seen. Michael Scuturo for VOA News in Berlin.